Welcome to the channel. Hit subscribe and dive into stories that'll stay with you long after the video ends. Let's begin. Rain hammered the narrow alley like fists on a locked door. Cold wind pushed the smell of rusted dumpsters and wet concrete into the air, mixing with something sharper, something that made Emma stop mid-stride. She had been cutting through the alley to save time, jacket pulled over her head, breath fogging in front of her face. But then she heard it, so soft she thought it was part of the storm. A whimper, high-pitched, fragile. She froze. "Hello?" Her voice trembled, barely louder than the rain. She waited for an answer, a shadow, anything. The alley remained still except for the flicker of a dying street lamp. Then she heard it again, a tiny, desperate cry. Emma stepped closer to the dumpsters, her boots splashing through shallow puddles. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. She kept telling herself it was probably a stray cat trapped in a box. People abandoned pets all the time. But as she rounded the last dumpster, the truth hit her like a blow. There, wedged between a pile of soggy cardboard and a cracked milk crate, lay a small bundle wrapped in a thin gray hoodie. The fabric was soaked, clinging to whatever was inside. Emma knelt, hands shaking, and pulled the edge of the hoodie back. A baby, a newborn, skin pink and trembling in the cold, tiny fists curled tight, eyes squeezed shut as another soft cry shuddered out. "Oh my God," Emma whispered. No, 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 instinct overtook panic. She scooped the baby into her arms, lifting him against her chest to give whatever warmth she could. The child was lighter than she expected, scarily light. His breath stuttered against her shirt, quick and uneven. "You're okay," she murmured. "I've got you, you're okay." But she wasn't, and the baby definitely wasn't. She looked around, searching for someone, anyone, who might explain why a newborn had been left to die behind a row of overflowing trash bins. Who did this? She whispered into the wind. The alley swallowed her voice whole. She reached for her phone with one hand, struggling to keep the baby steady. The screen slipped under her wet fingers and she fumbled to call emergency services. Before she could dial, a sound drifted from the opposite end of the alley. Footsteps, slow, heavy, purposeful. Emma's breath hitched. The baby whimpered again, as if sensing the tension coiling in her muscles. She pressed him closer and rose to her feet. The footsteps grew louder, echoing off the walls. "Hello," she called out, though every part of her wished she hadn't. A figure stepped into view, tall, broad shoulders, hood pulled low over his face, dripping with rain. He paused when he saw her, his posture stiffening, almost like he'd been expecting an empty alley, not someone holding the abandoned infant. Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. "Is this your baby?" The figure didn't answer. He stood utterly still, the storm raging around him. Then slowly he lifted his head, just enough for the street lamp to catch the sharp angle of his jaw, the soaked stubble, the unmistakable shape of a familiar face Emma hadn't seen in months. Her stomach folded in on itself. She knew him, and the look in his eyes wasn't relief. It was something closer to fear. Rain blurred the space between them, but Emma saw enough to feel the ground tilt beneath her. "Lucas," she breathed. He didn't answer. His eyes flicked to the baby in her arms, fast, assessing like a man counting seconds he didn't have. Emma's pulse thrashed. "Lucas, what is this? What happened?" He swallowed hard, jaw tight, and took one hesitant step forward. "Don't," she warned, tightening her grip on the infant. He froze, shoulders rising with a slow inhale. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The storm filled the silence, wind funneling down the alley like it was driving them towards some inevitable collision. "Emma," Lucas finally said, voice low and ragged, "you shouldn't be here." The words scraped through the air like a threat disguised as concern. "I found a baby in the trash," she said. "Explain that." Lucas glanced over his shoulder as if expecting someone else. His breath came unevenly, fogging in front of his hood. "We can't talk here." "No," she snapped. "We talk now. What is going on?" The baby stirred against her chest, letting out a softer cry this time. Emma rocked instinctively, but she couldn't tear her gaze from Lucas. Something was off. His stance, his eyes, the way his hands hovered near his sides like he was torn between reaching out and bolting. He took another step. "Stop," she said again. He did, but only barely. His fingertips twitched like he was fighting himself. "I didn't leave him here," Lucas said. "You know him." Her voice cracked. "You know this baby." He flinched the smallest motion, but it was enough. "Lucas, whose child is this?" He didn't answer. Instead, he looked toward the alley's entrance again, nerves crawling beneath his skin. His voice dropped to a whisper. Emma, please give him to me. No, tell me what's happening. He exhaled sharply, frustration and fear tangled in the sound. You don't understand. Then make me understand. The wind slammed a loose gate somewhere behind them, metal clanging loudly. The baby startled, crying louder. Emma rocked him, murmuring soft reassurance even as panic climbed her throat. Lucas raked a hand across his face. Hood pushed back just enough for the street lamp to reveal bruises along his cheekbone, dark, fresh, ugly. Emma's breath caught. "Who did that to you?" she asked. He didn't answer, but he didn't have to. The fear behind his eyes deepened. A car door slammed somewhere nearby. Lucas's head jerked up, every muscle snapping taut. "They're here." "Who's here?" Emma whispered. Another slam closer. Lucas closed the distance between them in 2 strides, hands raised in a desperate plea. "Emma, please give me the baby. You're both in danger." His voice shook. Lucas never shook. "I'm not giving him to anyone until I know the truth," she said, stepping back. But the puddle behind her forced a misstep and she nearly slipped. Lucas reached out instinctively, grabbing her arm to steady her. His touch was quick, too quick, but his eyes were full of something raw. "Emma, listen to me," he whispered. "They're coming because of him, and if they find you holding that baby, they won't let either of you walk away." Another set of footsteps echoed into the alley, multiple this time. Close, too close. The footsteps multiplied, sharp against the wet pavement, moving with purpose. Emma clutched the baby tighter and felt his tiny body shiver against her. Lucas stepped in front of her without thinking, throwing one quick glance over his shoulder. "Stay behind me," he murmured. A shadow stretched across the mouth of the alley. Then another. 3 figures stepped into view, silhouettes cut from the darkness. Their coats were long, heavy, not made for the rain. One of them held an umbrella, but the other 2 didn't seem to care about the weather at all. The man in front, tall, shaved head, jaw like stone, spoke first. "Lucas," he said, voice cold enough to freeze the air, "you've made this very difficult." Lucas didn't move. "You weren't supposed to come here. You weren't supposed to run," the man replied. "Yet here we are." Emma felt her breath catch, almost choking her. She leaned in close and whispered, "Lucas, what did you do?" He didn't answer, not because he didn't hear her, because there was no time. The stone-jawed man took a slow step forward, hand over the child. Emma's knees weakened, her arms tightened around the baby before she even realized she'd moved. Lucas raised a hand defensively. "You touch them, you'll answer to me." The man smirked. "You can't protect them. You couldn't even protect yourself." The bruises on Lucas's face pulsed in Emma's memory like fresh lightning. Another man spoke up, his tone mocking. "Clock's ticking, Lucas." Lucas glanced back at Emma. His face was pale under the storm light, eyes blazing with a mix of fear and resolve. "Emma," he whispered, "when I say run, you run, don't argue." Her throat tightened. "Run where? No time." Stonejaw took another step, boots splashing through the puddles. "We're done here, give us the baby." Emma felt the baby's tiny fingers curl around her shirt. He let out a weak cry, barely a sound, yet it sliced through the tension like a blade. The man's eyes narrowed. "He's getting cold, you're only making this harder." Emma's heart hammered so loudly she thought they must hear it. Something inside her rebelled, some instinct she didn't know she had. She stepped closer to Lucas, shifting her weight. "No one is taking him," she said. Stonejaw chuckled. "You think he cares about you? You think he told you the truth?" Lucas snapped. "Don't." "Oh," the man said. "Then maybe she should hear it from me." Lucas's jaw clenched, eyes blazing with dread. "Shut up." But the man took one more step forward, rain dripping off the brim of his umbrella. "Lucas didn't run because of us. He ran because he stole something that doesn't belong to him." Emma felt the words sink like ice into her spine. The man pointed a single gloved finger toward the infant in her arms. "That child is property, our property." Emma flinched, horror twisting in her stomach. "He's a baby, not." "You have no idea what he is," Stonejaw interrupted, "or what he can do." Lucas moved suddenly, stepping between them, arms spread wide. "Emma, go now." But the figures lunged forward at the same time, fast, coordinated, like they'd rehearsed this moment. The baby cried out as Emma stumbled backward, gripping him tight, heart in her throat. The alley erupted into chaos. Lucas met the first man head-on, ramming his shoulder into him with enough force to send both of them stumbling across the slick pavement. The crash echoed through the alley, swallowed instantly by the storm. Emma spun away from the commotion, clutching the baby tight, running on instinct alone. "Emma, go!" Lucas shouted behind her. She ran until her breath broke only to skid to a halt. A brick wall loomed in front of her, rain streaming down its surface like cold glass. Her chest tightened. "No, please." Behind her the struggle continued. Rapid footsteps, strained breaths, the thump of bodies shifting against the narrow walls. Nothing graphic, nothing she could clearly see, just the unmistakable chaos of people fighting for control. Emma pressed her back to the wall, shielding the infant with her body. She looked down at him, and for a moment the world blurred. His eyes were open again, steady, unusually focused for someone so small. He watched her, not crying this time, just aware. "It's all right," she whispered, though her voice trembled. "I'm here." A thin shadow approached. One of the men, short, wiry, moving with a sharp confidence, stepped into the faint light. Rain slid off his jacket in steady streams. His expression wasn't angry, it was almost calm, which somehow made everything worse. "You're trapped," he said softly. "We don't want trouble, just hand him over." Emma shook her head, pressing her heel into the ground to anchor herself. "Stay back. That baby isn't safe with you," the man said. His tone carried a false sympathy, the kind that pretended to soothe while circling something darker. "Let us take him. This doesn't need to get messy." Emma couldn't look away from his eyes, cold, assessing, calculating. She tightened her arms around the child. He reached out his hand. The baby suddenly let out a sharp cry, bright, piercing, almost vibrating through the air. Emma felt a faint hum run through her arms, like static brushing across her skin. The man paused mid-step, blinking. What was that? Before he could recover, another shape barreled into him from the side. Lucas. His momentum knocked the man off balance, sending him sprawling into a puddle. Lucas staggered upright, breath unsteady, rain and exhaustion streaking across his face. "Emma," he said, voice urgent, "stay behind me." She moved to him without thinking, keeping the child close, sheltering him from the cold as Lucas placed himself between her and the approaching threat. Then the first man, the one with the stone-hard expression, moved closer. He no longer bothered with calm or pretense. His steps were deliberate now, his attention fixed entirely on Lucas. "This could have gone differently," the man said. "You know that." Lucas straightened even though his balance wavered. "You're not getting near them." "Lucas," the man replied, "you know what we came for. I won't let you take him." The man advanced. Emma's breath caught as the baby began to cry again, louder, almost resonant, as if something deep inside him echoed the sound. The man hesitated, confusion flickering across his features. His hand dropped slightly. "What is happening?" Lucas drew in a shaking breath. "It's beginning." Emma looked down. A faint warmth, soft, steady, seemed to glow beneath the infant's skin, spreading gently through her arms. The realization settled in her like a second heartbeat. This child was different, and everything was about to change. The warmth in Emma's arms grew, not hot, not dangerous, just steady, like the first touch of sunlight breaking through cloud. The stone-faced man stared, momentarily thrown off, his posture shrinking as uncertainty crept into his expression. "Lucas," Emma whispered, "what's happening to him?" Lucas didn't take his eyes off the men. "He's special. That's why they want him, not because of what he is now, but what he could grow into." The baby's small fingers curled toward her chest. The light beneath his skin pulsed once, soft like a heartbeat. The stone-faced man shook off his hesitation. "This changes nothing," he snapped. "You know the rules. He belongs with us." Lucas stepped forward. "No, he belongs with someone who will protect him, not use him." Rain drummed harder, draping the alley in silver. Emma watched the man's jaw tighten, watched the quick exchange of glances between the three of them. Something was shifting, cracking in the quiet between thunderclaps. The wiry man stood, wiping water from his face. "Time's running out, Lucas. If we don't return with him." "We're not going anywhere," Lucas said. He wasn't posturing, he wasn't bluffing. Emma heard it, felt it, in the way he planted his feet, breath steadying. The baby made a soft, chiming sound. Not a cry, not a wail, something new, something bright. And with it the faint warmth blossomed a little more, warming Emma's chilled fingers. The stone-faced man frowned. "This isn't normal, he wasn't supposed to." "You never understood him," Lucas said. "None of you did." The man hesitated, his certainty faltered, and in that small pause, the storm seemed to pull back its breath. "Emma," Lucas said quietly, "step behind me," slowly. She did, moving with careful, deliberate steps. The baby stayed calm, his tiny hand brushing her collar as though sensing something she couldn't see. Then a noise cut through the storm, a distant call echoing from the street. A neighbor's dog barked. A gate clattered. Someone shouted a name from far off. The illusion of isolation broke. The men stiffened. "If anyone sees us," the wiry man murmured. The stone-faced man lifted a hand to silence him, eyes darting between the shadows. He wasn't afraid of Emma or Lucas, but of being discovered. He stepped back. "This isn't over," he said. "You can run tonight, but we'll find you. We always do." Lucas didn't respond. He simply watched as the men retreated toward the mouth of the alley, slipping back into the storm until the darkness swallowed them whole. Only when the last silhouette vanished did Lucas's shoulders sag. Emma exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Her hands shook. Her legs felt hollow beneath her. "Lucas," her voice cracked, "tell me everything." He turned to her slowly, rain streaking down his face. "He's not just a baby they're trying to take. He's someone they're afraid of, someone they want to control before he grows into what he's meant to be." Emma looked down at the infant, whose skin now glowed only faintly like the last ember of a fire. "What is he meant to be?" she asked. Lucas gave a small, exhausted smile. "Something good, if he's raised by someone who sees him as a child, not a weapon." Emma felt the answer settle inside her before she even spoke it. "Then he stays with us." Lucas nodded once. Relief washed over his features. "We'll protect him, together." The baby let out a soft sigh, curling against her like he'd been waiting for those very words. Emma held him close and stepped out of the alley into the storm-lit street, knowing nothing about the road ahead, but certain she wouldn't face it alone. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and visit the channel for more real-life stories.